So one of my favorite things to do is to sit at my kitchen table and watch the birds. They come and go so quickly. There's so many of them. These guys think they rule the roost. These little tufted titmouses is what they're called, I believe. They think they rule the roost. This poor little guy just wants a bite. Anyway, I could watch them for hours. But I don't. But I do like to make them some treats along with my chickens. They all eat the same thing. They will pick out what they don't like, and they all eat the same thing. And in the wintertime, it's really good to have some extra fat for them to eat. So let's get making some suet treats. Okay, so what I do first is there is about a half a cup to 3/4 of a cup of peanut butter in my pan. I'm going to add coconut oil, half a cup of coconut oil. And then I just save my fat from different things. Like this is a little bit of fat off the top of my ham stock. Not very much at all. And this is some fat off of hamburger that I made last night. So just take that. The jelly stuff in the bottom, I don't use that. I just throw that out and put all this together and heat it up on the stove, not till boiling, just till it's warm and all combined. I'll be back when that's in. Okay, so I have about 2.5 cups of liquid here. For every cup of liquid, you use 2 cups of dry mix. Right now what I have chicken scratch, I have mealworms, whole oats, just a birdseed mix, which has a lot of everything in it. I have millet, which I'm probably not going to use because there's a lot of millet in the birdseed already. Sunflower hearts, black oil sunflower seeds, which have a lot of protein in them and good for all your birds, and wheat. So I'm going to pour my peanut butter mixture, which should just look very runny, not at all thick by any means. Just get it all stirred up, make sure everything is incorporated together, and dump that in your bowl that you're going to be mixing in. I have a whole cup and about 1/4 of a cup. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2 cups of 1 cup of the birdseed mix, heaping, and 1 cup of the scratch grains. And then I'm probably going to do 1/4 cup of these other things. And if I have any left, I'll just probably put scratch grains or the birdseed in there to fill it up. So first we will get a heaping cup of our scratch grains. pour it in. And then a heaping cup of birdseed. Yeah, there's a lot of millet in this birdseed, so you definitely don't need to add millet. But if you don't have birdseed, you can make your own. Oh, I also have peanut parts, which basically are like the peanuts that you top a sundae or something with. They come in bulk. I get them at the hatchery, and those are definitely good. So if you don't use crunchy peanut butter, which you can also, I'm going to put a 1/4 cup of these in there, and a 1/4 cup of oats, and a 1/4 cup of, I'm probably going to put a 1/2 cup of sunflower hearts in there. Let's see, a 1/4 cup of wheat, some extra black oil sunflower seeds, a heaping 1/4 cup of that, and of course, everybody's favorite. Never in a million years thought I would be cooking with mealworms in my kitchen, but here they are, and here I am. So we're going to put a good 1/2 cup of mealworms in there. And that should do it. We're going to start mixing to see what we got here. You want your mixture to be not real juicy, but you want to be able to see that there's still some liquid, because that's what's going to hold everything together. I think I probably could use another scoop of something, so I think I'm probably going to go with maybe part of a scoop of the bird seed and part of a scoop of the scratch grains. Both have a lot of the same things in them, except for the scratch grains have a little bit bigger pieces, I believe. The birds eat everything, so it doesn't really matter. So I added an additional cup of dry, and I am pretty much, you don't want it to crumble. You want the fat to hold everything together. So if you don't leave enough fat on there, then it will crumble apart, which for my chickens is good. When I give them a treat, I just take a block out of the freezer and crumble it apart, and they love it. They think that it is the most awesome thing in the world. So anyway, what I'm going to do now is bring my 2 pans over here, clear some of this out of the way. This is my reusable aluminum foil pan that I just spooned some into for my window feeding birds. Doesn't have to be a lot, just needs to be a little bit of a log for them. That way they have something to peck at. And then I'm going to take the rest of this. I made a little bit of a mess there. I'm going to take the rest of this and dump it in my pan here. There we go. Get all that goodness out of there. And then I spread this. This is the perfect size pan because it makes nice little blocks. I believe it makes 15 of them. I'm not 100% sure. Or 12 maybe. Depending on how small or big you cut them. This is a little bit shy of what I normally make. But you just pat it down And you could always fill this pan up more, may have more fat, but this is the fat that I had to use, and I don't ever waste any of the fat anymore, because if it can feed my birds, my chickens, you know, there's no reason to waste it. So just, you can either put this in the freezer, or a lot of times I will just set it outside. At first I was a little worried that the birds would go crazy and smell it, but they really don't. They just, you know, they have their food, so they eat that. And when this is cool, I'll come back and I'll show you. I cut it into blocks, put it in the freezer, and it's ready anytime I need it. So our suet is all cooled. I'm going to take a knife and I'm just going to cut it into small squares. I do small ones because most of the birds here are small, and I don't really feed the squares to the birds. I always make them a log, and this way I can get about 12, I guess. I'm going to cut this one in half too. So we'll get about 12. I use a butter knife so it doesn't really mess up the bottom of my pan. I guess I could use parchment paper. That would probably be a smart idea. Maybe next time I'll try that. And there you go. And let me get some parchment paper. And some of a freezer bag. Get my spatula. Comes out in a chunk. That's a little bit big of a piece of parchment paper. I'll probably cut the next one in half. But you get the basic idea. And I'm going to put them in this freezer bag and put them in the freezer for my chickens. And all winter long, they will have nice suet blocks. I put them in their cage, put them in the suet feeders that I hang inside their cage, or just feed it to them by hand. They like that the best because they're my girls. Anyway, thanks for joining me today. If you haven't subscribed yet, click the subscribe button and the like button down below if you like this video, and hopefully you'll join me for some more.